Hi guys, my name is Jason and today I'm going to be sharing my coming out story with you guys. Coming out to me meant that I could be honest and open in the relationships that I built with people. I guess the main thing that I was afraid of when coming out was the fear of rejection and thinking that my entire life was going to change and I wasn't gonna know what to do. I can remember as far back as elementary school that I thought that they were like role models or like people that I just wanted to be my friend, and I guess they were little like mini crushes that I didn't know how to like identify as like, oh, I can actually like a boy. It was alien to me and I didn't really understand it, I guess. And to be honest, I didn't even know what gay was up until probably around like 6th or 7th grade that I finally learned what it was, and I mean, even at that point, I didn't pay much attention to it. I guess the real turning point for me when I was in elementary school was when I had told a group of kids that I had a crush on this boy in my class, and I got like weird looks, and I mean, I guess I didn't really understand why it was okay for a girl to like a boy, but it wasn't okay for a boy to like a boy or for a girl to like a girl. I guess that I didn't realize that I was any different from anybody else. The next day when that girl that was in the group that I told came up to me, she told me that I was wrong. She said that her parents said that she couldn't talk to me anymore. I mean, she didn't have any other definition to go based off and neither did I, so that was what I believed. Her parents said that it was wrong. I believed it was wrong. Those feelings weren't all that strong. I figured I'll just push them to the back of my head, like, you know what, maybe I'm just confused, maybe I am wrong. So I pushed them to the back of my head and didn't really focus on them. Going into 6th and 7th grade, realizing you're different from everybody else is really terrifying. I didn't have anybody around me that was like me, that could help me figure out all of this. And still I hung out with mainly girls, which sort of set me apart from everybody else even more. I was so worried about how I was coming across to everybody and how other people like perceived me that I automatically like counted myself out already. I'm like, you know what, these people aren't gonna like me, you know what, because they know how I act, they know how I am, I guess, and so why would any of these people want to be my friend? I didn't give people a chance. I figured it was easier just to shut people out and not try to make friends. It was easier just to keep to myself, but I think that caused me to be really shy. Throughout middle school, I didn't really focus on sexuality. I didn't really focus on trying to find anybody to date. I didn't care about it. It was confusing. I didn't understand it, so I figured it was easier just not to deal with it because like I said, I didn't understand it and I didn't want to understand it. So as 8th grade came to a close, we were getting ready to enter into high school, and I realized that none of my friends that I had made in middle school were going to my high school. They were all going to the other surrounding high schools, and I was scared because I was going from people that I had finally found that accepted me to a place where I didn't know anybody. I had to redo everything and try to make friends all over again. And at this point, my sexuality was becoming a little more prominent in who I was, and I realized that I was far behind. People were figuring out everything about what they liked and what their sexuality was, but I lacked that and I didn't get to explore that like everybody else. I felt like in a way I was a lot weaker than most of the kids at my high school, and in a way like they were so much more knowledgeable about like sex and sexuality and relationships that I still didn't understand, and I didn't care to understand. Going throughout high school, I did meet some amazing people, and some of them I can call my best friend today, and that was a really fun experience, but there was still that voice in the back of my head that was constantly bugging me about there's something missing. There's a part of you that you need to explore, and there's something that needs to be done about this, but I didn't know how to go about it. I was so worried about myself and about things around me that I began to let my grades slip, and when I got to my senior year of high school, I was behind 40 credit. In case you don't really know what 40 credits mean, that's like a little over half a year's worth of classes that I completely failed. So I had to go to a continuation school. I had the opportunity to graduate early, so I did. I graduated a month early, and it was before I even turned 18. I was still 17 at the time. After high school, I got to spend a lot of time alone. It was good for me. It wasn't a bad alone. I wasn't lonely, but I had to spend time like in my own head and deciding what I really wanted. I realized none of the stuff that I wanted was gonna happen if I didn't come out. So that summer after high school was when I dedicated time to come out. I was like, you know what, it's time. I'm gonna come out. I kind of jumped the gun on it. I was like, you know what? I need to just come out. This needs to happen now. But that wasn't the way I wanted it to play out, and I didn't see it in my head was because I didn't even accept myself. So there was a point after high school that I had finally admitted to myself that I was gay. I remember just being on the playground of my elementary school and laying there, and when I was alone with my own thoughts, I finally was able to admit to myself, you know what? This isn't gonna go away. There's nothing that anybody can say or that anybody can do that will change any of this. So I think at that point was when I finally came out to myself. So leaving that playground, I was not the same person that I was before. At this point, I am in the closet. I realized that, hey, I'm gay. And now I am in the closet. I am a closeted gay person, and I need to work on coming out now. People always talk about being in the closet as if it has anything to do with anybody else, but to truly be in the closet means that you're standing somewhere alone in the dark. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to my first person that I came out to, which was my best friend Eileen. The experience was literally unbelievable. I cannot describe how much weight is just lifted off your shoulders and how much freer you feel, even though you aren't out to everybody, but just having at least one person that understands and that gets you, you feel like you can take on the world. So my next person that I told was my sister, Alicia. This was the first person that I actually wrote out the words, I'm gay. She was fine with it, she was supportive. All of the hurt and all of the pain that I had dealt with for the past 19 years was just sort of being torn off of me. It was an amazing feeling to be able to let go of that and to let go of the pain that I was holding on to inside. So after I had a few different people on my side and that were there to support me, I told my sister, Amanda. I was so close with her when we were younger, and I mean, we're still close now, but she was the sibling that I always turned to and that I knew I could trust with anything that I had been going through. I did it. I told her straight out. I said, Amanda, I'm gay. And every time you tell somebody, it's a completely different experience, but there's just that feeling of relief, I guess, with every single one, and the feeling just gets bigger and bigger as you go. It's time to sort of focus on telling my parents, and that terrified me. Just thinking about telling my parents terrified me. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I mean, I didn't think anything bad would happen, but telling somebody just feels like you're sort of jumping into the unknown, and you don't really know what's gonna happen. The night that I told my mom was indescribable because she had asked me about it the morning before. I mean, I guess it wasn't really about it, but it was about my life, I guess, because I was telling her that there was other things I needed to focus on other than school. And she kept asking me, well, what is it? What do you mean? And I don't really want to talk about it now. And so that morning after she dropped me off for school, I made the decision that I was going to tell her and that I wasn't going to turn back. So that night I came downstairs because she was sitting on the couch, and the one right here actually, and I wanted to tell her so bad, so I sat down next to her, and for a while I was just stalling because I couldn't build up the courage to actually do it. After a little while of just sitting here on the couch, she said that she was tired and so that she was gonna go to sleep, and I remember thinking no, stop, she didn't realize that I needed to actually talk to her about something, and she started going upstairs, and I so badly wanted to just say no, come back, I need to talk to you about something, but she didn't realize that I was actually even needing to. So after a little while, I went up to my room, and I had two of my sisters there with me, and we decided that we were just gonna call her in and tell her right then. So I called her. So my sister went and woke her up and told her to come into my room, and we were sitting there and she didn't come, and I didn't know. It turns out she went back to sleep. So my sister went to go call her again, and again she didn't come. And so I figured, you know what, I just gotta go call her. So I went to go call her, and then that second she was getting up, and I told her I needed to talk to her about something. So I went and I sat down on my bed, and she sat down on the end of my bed too. And eventually I looked at her and I was like, Mom, I'm gay. I can't even begin to describe the feeling that it was after telling her, because it was just this enormous weight just lifted off my shoulders. And I was just so like overwhelmed by the whole situation that I started to cry, and then we hugged it out, and I was looking over at my sisters and they were crying, and even just thinking about it now just makes me happy. I think about it as like before, when I was younger, I believed it was something that was wrong and that I should be ashamed of, but I was never so happy to tell somebody and for them to accept me, and I would have never been able to experience this if I wasn't born this way. And the next morning I woke up and it was just one of the most unreal feelings, thinking that I had already told her that I didn't have to worry about it anymore, that everything that I had dealt with for the past 19 years, that I didn't have to deal with anymore because she already knew. And then I got a phone call from her and she told me that she had already told my dad. At that point, she was saying that I had to go in and go talk to him. So I went in to go talk to him, and I didn't know what his reaction was going to be honest, because I knew he had been raised like Jehovah's Witness, and I didn't really know what the belief on it was. I said, so, like, mom talked to you? And he said, yeah. And I said, and he said, and what? That it doesn't change anything. Like, you're still my son and I love you exactly the same. The days after I told my parents they were unreal. When I came out to my first person, I made the pact that before the year ended, I would come out to everybody. So on New Year's Eve, I decided that it was gonna happen and I was gonna come out to everybody. So I called up my best friend, who was also the first person that I came out to, and I was talking to her about coming out and about all of my experiences and all that. I think I did like 4 or 5 different rough drafts of like making sure everything was perfect, and I said everything that I wanted to say, and I said it the way that I wanted to say it. I was putting it off until the last minute that I could possibly post it, and I wanted to stay true to myself, and I wanted to keep this promise that I had to myself. And so, as hard as it was, at 11:55, I hit post, and it was sent out onto the web, and the response that I got was unbelievable, and I didn't expect it whatsoever. Like I said, being in the closet isn't about anybody else. It's not about your family, it's not about your friends, it's not about anybody around you. Truly being in the closet means that you're standing somewhere alone in the dark. If you're gonna have one person in there with you, you better make sure it's somebody who's gonna give you support and tell you that you're not doing anything wrong. I think what most people don't realize, and what I didn't realize, that there are other people out there like us. Hopefully we can all come together and make a change, one person at a time. So thank you for watching, guys. If you want to find out more about me, you can subscribe. Everything about me is down below, and until next time.